Welcome cadets to the Miami Police Department Academy. I will be your instructor for the duration of this training. You are only to address me as sir or instructor. Do you have any questions before we start? During this training, you will learn the basics and the standard operating procedures that the Miami Police Department is built upon. You are expected to give your full attention to the information presented to you, thoroughly understanding it, and writing notes down. At the end of this academy training, you will be taking a test in which it will decide whether you join us as a police officer or not. Leaving at any point during this training may result in an immediate fail. This training will be approximately an hour. This time may increase or decrease accordingly. Furthermore, starting from this point onwards, you may request permission to speak. Otherwise, remain muted or silent. As a police officer of the Miami Police Department, you are required to have the following items on you at all times and on your duty belt, taking into consideration that you can reach for them quickly and safely. Glock 17, once qualified. Handcuffs. Taser. Baton. Pepper spray. Flashlight. Citation book. Police MDT. You are now required to have the following items in the trunk of your car. These items must be kept there unless need be. You are not to actively carry them. M4A1, once qualified. FABARM FP6, once qualified. Beanbag shotgun. Cones. Flares. Stop sticks. Radar gun. BLS bag. Fire extinguisher. Ensure that you have all your items prepared and your vehicle is ready for patrol. Once done, spawn the Falcon Interceptor Utility 2020. Section 3, Radio Communication. Proper law enforcement radio communication etiquette requires law enforcement officers to use clear and concise language, employing standardized protocols and procedures. It is important to identify yourself and others using call signs or designations to avoid confusion. Active listening is crucial. Ensuring the frequency is clear before transmitting and respecting the ongoing communications of others is mandatory and strictly enforced. You are to wait for any active transmits before reporting to dispatchers. Prioritize emergency communications, maintain a professional tone at all times, and refraining from unnecessary chatter, contributing to effective and efficient law enforcement radio communication. Section 4, Conducting Arrests. Conducting an arrest on a criminal or a suspect involved in a crime is the processing step in which every Miami police officer is required to write their report in the appropriate channel found on our Discord, log it in the computer system, CAD, and jail the player in-game. During the arrest, you may request an additional transport unit to aid you in the process. However, you are expected to be the officer reporting the arrest and doing the paperwork, unless you need to detach to do something involving a higher risk or priority. As a transport unit, you collect information from the officers involved on scene. Your report must be detailed and have a thorough explanation of why the suspect is being arrested, their charges, the arrest location, and any other information prompted in the arrest log if the primary unit of the transport is detaching. Section 5, Miranda Rights. Upon arresting a suspect of any charges they are accused of, they must be told in a professional and an understandable tone their Miranda rights. The Fifth Amendment right allows any suspect suspected or accused of a crime to remain silent at all times. They also have the right to have their lawyer present with them. If they do not have a lawyer, the state of Florida will appoint one free of charge for them. Any evidence or information will be inadmissible in court if the suspect has not been read their rights. Ensuring this is the first step into processing an arrest is crucial. The Miranda rights are as follows. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say or do can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to an attorney during questioning. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed to you by the state of Florida free of charge. Do you understand these rights as I have just read them to you? Wait for response. Do you wish to speak to me or any of my fellow officers or supervisors from the department? Once the suspect has been read their rights, depending on whether they understand them or not, you may thoroughly and slowly explain it to them. The suspect can still incriminate themselves if they do not understand them correctly. Section 6. Levels of Force. Level 0, Officer Presence. Just an officer being seen by the public or being in the area can deter crime. If there is something suspicious, just remaining in the area can influence a civilian's decisions. Level 1, De-escalation. Verbal de-escalation consists of warnings, explanations of how the scenario would occur, and keeping consistent and calm communication with the subject. Level 2, Hands-on. The most common way to restrain a non-compliant person. This consists of getting close to the subject and grabbing or tackling them, pinning them down, and holding them. Level 3, Blunt instrument. Use of a baton on an aggressive person. This works if they are charging without a weapon or becoming violent. Level 4, Chemicals, non-lethal. The use of pepper spray to subdue a violent subject. OC spray, or pepper spray, is used to blind the subject and irritate their skin, eyes, and sinus system. They will be in pain and temporarily disoriented. Level 5, Deployables, non-lethal. The use of a taser or beanbag shotgun to subdue a violent or fleeing subject. A taser is a non-lethal deployable electronic charge device that punctures the subject's skin and sends an electrical charge immobilizing them. A beanbag shotgun launches non-lethal deployables at the subject to knock them over and disorient them. Level 6, Lethal. The use of a firearm to cause serious injury and/or death to a life-threatening subject. This is only to be used if there is an immediate threat of life to yourself or the public. Use of force policies. Lethal firearm discharge. Within the Miami Police Department, we never shoot to kill. When a lethal firearm is charged, it is only to defuse the situation and ensure no more civilians or law enforcement officers are harmed. Discharging your firearm is your last choice. The use of chemicals and deployables, in addition to blunt instruments, is a more suitable option. You are only to discharge your firearm if your life or others are on the verge of ending. Water policies. If a suspect is visibly moist or wet with water or other liquids, or has recently left a body of water, the use of a taser is not authorized. You are authorized to use a beanbag shotgun. However, if the suspect is wet from rain, you may use a taser. Section 7, Medical Procedures and Basic Life Support. When you see a civilian injured or you cause injury to someone else, it is upon your duty to act, assisting and provide medical care for the civilian, whether that be stopping bleeding, securing broken bones, etc. Failure to provide medical care will result in a disciplinary action. Most importantly, if you caused an injury to someone and they lost their life, you are subject to an investigation for homicide. We never shoot to kill. Medical procedures and BLS. Before starting any procedures or attempts to aid someone, you are to put on gloves. Latex gloves are elastic, rubbery gloves used to keep patients sanitary. Proceed by grabbing a basic life support bag. A BLS is used to carry preliminary preservation equipment such as cervical collar, and other BLS equipment which officers can use to save lives and stop any further injuries. Then, begin checking for injuries on the subject, looking for gunshot wounds, bruises, cuts, or injuries that may have or cause an infection. Prioritize injuries that drop the subject's heart rate, or difficult their respiratory system. Any neck injuries may be aided by using a cervical collar, a device that is wrapped around the patient's neck to keep it from further injuries that can likely be prevented. Closing/stopping bleeding from gunshot wounds or stabs, or any other sharp objects that severely cut the subject can be done by using tourniquets. They are devices used to wrap around a point to supply pressure and stop bleeding. It will not fit around the torso, just the arms and legs. If the subject is going into cardiac arrest, an AED must be used to provide an electrical shock to the heart. Ensure doing 2 shocks then checking for pulse again. If the pulse is at 0 for too long, announce the subject dead. In addition, CPR may be used. If the subject has problems getting air into their respiratory system, use a BVM, a device connected to a mask that will be placed over your mouth to provide ventilation. Finally, the use of gauze. Gauze is a thin, loosely woven fabric made of cotton, linen, or other materials. It is commonly used in medical settings for various purposes due to its ability to absorb liquids while allowing air to circulate through it. Gauze comes in different forms, such as sterile or non-sterile, and in various shapes and sizes.